Hello everyone, I'm gonna sneeze. Welcome back, happy Monday. I hope you guys are having an amazing week so far. Yeah, so as some of you know, I am moving house and no more noisy neighbours. Well, we'll see. But I'm in a house, so I'm in an apartment at the moment, so I have people above me, so at least there'll be no one standing around above me, unless somebody is living in my house that I don't know about. But yeah, so excuse the background. I have limited products and brushes at the moment, but I wanted to get a Monday video out for you all. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a theme today because I bought this palette, and it's kind of pink and purple. But yeah, so I just want to use it and I don't really know. I can't think of a theme. Okay. We're going to be themeless. So I'm just going to use this eyeshadow base from Sigma. And the reason I'm telling you what product this is because people kept thinking it was a concealer, and I would never in my life use concealer to prime my eyelids. Okay. All right then, so let's start with our first story. This is called The 2 a.m. Tree Apparitions. So it says, I am your new subscriber on YouTube and also your Instagram follower. Thank you so much. I absolutely enjoy your ghost story Mondays, as it has both what interests me, makeup and ghosts. Same. A couple of years ago, I stayed with my cousins in their brand new house. It was a 2-story house and we slept upstairs in just one room. On my arrival, I noticed this huge old tree at the back of their house. I had already heard of paranormal rumors about that tree. They said at 2 a.m. there were apparitions that would appear by the tree. As I was a skeptic, I shrugged it off. During the evenings when I walked around the house, I felt like I was being watched and followed. I felt the hair at the back of my neck stand up a couple of times. For the first 2 nights that I stayed there, I noticed that I'd always be awakened around 2 a.m. and there was a strong urge to look out the window, to which you can immediately see the tree, but I'd never looked. On my 3rd night, again for no reason, I woke up just after 2 a.m. My cousins and aunt were fast asleep. Then the temperature around me turned colder. I hid under the sheets. I could hear a whisper. It was a raspy old woman's voice. The voice was creepy, like it was running out of breath. It was repeatedly calling my name. I covered my ears with pillows, but I could still hear the voice. Eventually, it went away. The next day, I packed my bags and went home. I didn't have the courage to tell the story to my cousins, my aunt and my family, because I didn't want them to freak out. A couple of months after my cousin told me that during the early hours of the morning, they heard footsteps and their doorknobs being twisted. They said the TV would turn on all of a sudden, and my aunt also saw a woman and a child covered in mud in the same room where we slept. She said the child grinned at her, and the woman told her to not be afraid, as they had been there for a long time already. Good thing I never attempted to have another sleepover after my experience ever again. That's the thing, you always think like, houses can be haunted, like churches, buildings, you think buildings and graveyards are haunted, but we never think a fucking tree can be haunted, you know? Thank you so much for your story. Okay, our second style is called Child. Yes. It's gonna be a ghost child. So it says, hello Robert, I love your channel, thank you so much. When I was a teenager, we had a sleepover at a friend's house. We decided to play with the Ouija board and someone answered right away. That's first of all, kids, if you're watching, kids, don't play with Ouija boards at sleepovers. And then for something to answer straight away, it's been waiting for you. One of the girls had one of those baby dolls they give to teens in health class. You know, the really annoying ones. We had an egg in mine. The baby started to cry. There was a picture of children playing in one corner of the Ouija board, and the pointer kept indicating child, then yes, over and over. Frightened, we said goodbye, but the board kept showing child, yes. Suddenly, the family dog, who had been shut out of the room, began barking wildly and throwing itself against the closed bedroom door, as if it knew we were in danger. A couple of the girls began to cry. We stopped playing, and later, after her father was asleep, we snuck out and burnt the board. First of all, thank you for your story. Second of all, you asked for ghost shenanigans, playing with that Ouija board. You know, it's okay to have like an ornamental Ouija board. Just don't crack it out at sleepovers and you'll be fine. I'm not sure why I decided to put this bright orangey coral colour there, but that's life. Sometimes you just... I don't know what I'm saying. Shut up. Some people are going to call this purple. I'm going to call it pink. Okay, our third story. This story is called Answer Me, Dad. Hello, Robert. I'm such a fan of your channel. Thank you. When I was a very little girl, my parents would drop me off at my grandma's house so they could have a date night. Cute. It would just be my grandma and me, but her house always gave me a really weird vibe. It was just so dated. I got that weird feeling you get in your tummy when you're on an elevator as soon as I walked into her front door. She would always fall asleep really early, and I remember lying awake trying as hard as I could to fall asleep too. One time, I remember hearing my name being called, and not in a low whisper, but a loud yell from the living room. It sounded like my dad. I jumped out of bed and was excited that my parents were back to pick me up from this boring house. I ran to the living room, and my dad was sitting on the lounge chair. He didn't look at me or acknowledge me, even when I shouted at him. I started to cry and went to wake up my grandma, telling her about how my dad was ignoring me and I was ready to go home. When my grandma told my parents, they were really freaked out. My mum reached for a photo album and pointed to a picture of a man sitting in the lounge chair of my grandma's house. It looked just like my dad, but was actually a photo of his father. He passed away of a heart attack years before I was born. He died in his sleep in the bedroom Grandma and I slept in. They closed the photo album and literally nobody has mentioned this. And that was 27 years ago. I would love to hear stories like that. I would love to hear everyone's, like what everyone thinks. Because I think with children, it's always like, oh, it's their imagination. That's, I think, what a lot of parents think. So it'd be great to hear what they actually thought when they, you know, showed you that picture of your granddad and they were like, oh, that's him. All right, we're getting through these stories today. Our next story is called The Girl in the Mirror. Okay, so mirrors. Let me just tell you about mirrors just really quickly. If I have a mirror in a room, even if it's a hand mirror, it has to be turned around at night before I go to bed, or I can't have a visual view of it, because I feel like mirrors are like some kind of gateway. Maybe it was because of that film. What was that film? Was it called Mirrors? I can't remember. So stories like this, when there's someone in a mirror. This is also why I don't buy antique furniture, because I can't afford it, but also because ghosts. Okay. When I was 10 years old, I stayed at my aunt's house. We played hide and seek in the dark one night. I was sneaking from one room to the next when I looked down the hall and froze. There was a mirror on the wall at the end of the hall. In the mirror was a girl looking back at me. This girl was about my age, but was wearing a nightgown that was a much older style. As I stared at the girl, suddenly she moved, and in a blink, she was halfway down the hall. Transfixed, I moved closer to the mirror. When I got halfway down the hall, the girl moved again, when she suddenly became much clearer. I froze. Then just as suddenly as she moved, she yelled, "Help me." Just then, a man's hand reached out, grabbed her by the face, and yanked her into the room directly to the left. Much later, after telling my story to my sister, we looked up my aunt's address. We found that in 1952, a young girl had been murdered in the house whilst her grandmother slept. I never stayed over at my aunt's again. That word, I would never stay there. And also, I think I would definitely be in some kind of therapy after seeing that. That can't be too nice to experience. This is another thing as well, like antique furnishings, fireplaces. That's another one, fireplaces. Antique chairs. You're asking for a ghost to be sitting in a chair at night when you wake up, just staring at you, because that's the ghost's favourite chair. And now you have it in your house because he thought it was cute. Dolls, antique dolls, that's another thing I'll never understand. Like, do you want a ghost child in your house? Moving on from my hatred of antique collectibles. Our next story is called The Life-Saving Ghost. My oldest daughter, she's 27, has always had strange occurrences happen to her and her fiancé ever since they moved into their home 3 years ago. They have 2 small girls, my granddaughters, 7 and 2, and the kids too also have commented that they have seen or heard things as well. One night, I was talking to my daughter on the phone. She had just laid down her youngest for bed. 10 minutes into the conversation, my daughter's voice got quiet and shaky. I kept saying, "Hey, are you there?" thinking maybe we lost our phone signal. A few seconds passed and I heard her say in such a terrified voice, "Mum, there's something standing at the end of the hall." "What are you talking about?" I said. "Mum, there's a dark figure standing at the end of the hall." I could tell she wasn't joking because I could literally sense the horror in her voice over the phone. Then almost immediately, in a panicked voice, she says, "Oh God, Mum, it walked into the baby's room." Oh my God. Ooh. I knew she was scared to death and I felt helpless being on the phone with her, so I screamed, "Go back there now. Grab the baby and get out of there. I'll stay on the phone with you, just go now." She gets to my granddaughter's room and opens the door, and immediately she doesn't see this dark figure anymore, but can hear the baby's breathing. She was wheezing heavily. The baby is asthmatic and was having an asthma attack. Just the day before this, her baby monitor had broken and she had meant to pick one up that day but forgot to. I firmly believe that had that ghostly shadow not got my daughter's attention, my granddaughter would have stopped breathing altogether, and she wouldn't have known until it was too late. Oh my God. That is crazy. Literally, what a lifesaver. That's incredible. Oh, my heart through that. Cute. Oh, it's like orangey nude. That's nice. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right. Okay, I think we have time to squeeze in one more story. I've lost my mascara and I don't know where it is. I've packed up all my makeup. It was right here. I swear it was here. Listen, if a ghost is moving my stuff, now is not the time. Why did I put on lashes without a mascara? What the hell? Alright, so my mascara's gone. So our last story today is called The Doll on the Swing. When I was really young, like 3 or 4, we lived in a new build house in a lovely little village in Northamptonshire. My granddad and his partner had been away on holiday and bought my mum and I souvenirs. Cute. My gift was a doll. I'm not sure why anyone in their right mind would buy this doll. It was old, creepy, and just screamed no. This doll sat on a little swing, which my granddad tied to my curtain pole. I, being so young, was completely oblivious to how spooky it was, but my mum hated it. She hates dolls anyway, so every night when she put me to bed, she would close the curtains over the doll so she wouldn't have to see it. Before my mum went to bed every night, she would poke her head into my room and check on me, but the doll's head would always be poking out through the curtains, facing her. It scared her so bad that eventually she stopped checking on me before bed. Around the same time I got the doll, I started getting extreme nightmares. It was always about this man chasing me. I would jump awake and scream at the top of my lungs because I would see the same man in my room. At first, my mum thought it may have been my great-granddad's ghost visiting me at night, but then someone else witnessed it. My mum's friend was visiting, so she slept on an air mattress on my bedroom floor. My door was always open at night to let the light in from the hallway. I'll just put lashes on. Okay. My mum's friend says that she woke up in the middle of the night and in her half-asleep haze saw a man in the hallway. She assumed it was my dad and asked him if he could close the door. The next morning, my dad swore blind that he didn't get up that night and they were all left completely freaked out. Then one night when my dad wasn't home, she heard a noise downstairs. She listened for a bit and heard our cutlery drawer open. The same drawer with a big knives in it. It was an old kitchen, so the drawer always made a clunky sound as it opened. She ran downstairs with my dad's golf club, thinking that someone was in the house and that we were in danger. All the cupboards and drawers were open. The lights were on, but all the doors and windows were locked and there was nobody there. Nonetheless, my mum called the police, still convinced that someone was actually there. The police checked it over and found no evidence of any break-in. That was when my mum thought, God no, and said that if this man I was seeing at night was able to open drawers and turn on lights, then he needed to go. My mum brought a medium into the house and the medium performed a seance in the living room. They told her to get rid of the doll. We did, and everything stopped. Fuck that doll. Bring dolls into your house. No. Alright guys, this is the finished look. Pink. Yeah, that's it basically. So I hope you enjoyed those stories this week. If you want to send me your ghost stories, creepy stories, alien stories, weird parent stories, you can send them right here to this email address and I will read them out here on my channel. I feel like it's got darker in here. My mascara's gone. It's got darker in this room. I'm being haunted by a ghost. Oh my god, my mascara's right here. It was not there. No, it was. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an amazing week ahead. I will see you Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Like I said, everything I used today is in the description box below. I will see you soon. Bye.